Welcome to This Week in Taiwan. I'm Iris Xu. Every Saturday, we break down the biggest stories making headlines across the country. From politics and policy to culture and the unexpected. Whether you are tuning in from Taipei or halfway around the world, we've got you covered with what you need to know to stay in the loop. Taiwan is home to 23 million people, and you might think what happens on this small island doesn't affect you. But in reality, it is quite the contrary. From geopolitics to global supply chains, Taiwan is more connected to your life than you might expect. So let's get into this week's news and see just how interconnected we really are. During his National Day address last Friday, President Lai Ching-te announced plans to build a Taiwanese version of the Israeli Iron Dome are in the works. He said the quote, T-Dome will be a multi-layered defense system with high-level detection and effective interception, ensuring the security of key cities and critical facilities in Taiwan. In response to Lai's announcement, the United States Defense Security Cooperation Agency, or DSCA, announced that it would sell 3 national advanced surface-to-air missile systems, 3 AN MPQ-64 Sentinel radars, and more than 100 AIM-120 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles to Taiwan. Defense Minister Wellington Koo spoke to the legislature this Monday regarding whether or not funneling resources towards T-Dome development would contradict the military's current focus on asymmetric warfare, given the PLA's sizable weapons stockpile. He explained that Lai's intention is to integrate pre-existing detection systems to create one effective multi-layered defense system. Koo added that the radar, missile launch, and counter-drone system the military deploys in the future will be designed for high mobility and high survivability, which he said is indeed a development that would support asymmetric warfare. Up until September, 47 drugs are slated for withdrawal from Taiwan's markets. On Sunday, Health Minister Shi Hongliang announced that most of the medications have domestic alternatives, while one manufacturer has halted production entirely. Production of an anti-rejection drug used in organ transplants has been stopped. The minister said that the current supply should last through next year and a special import program will be launched to maintain access afterwards. National Health Insurance Administration Director Chen Liangyu said the agency has linked its database with the Food and Drug Administration's notification system to coordinate responses and issue timely updates to hospitals. The FDA plans to require drug makers to give 6 months' notice before withdrawing products to allow unified supply management and prevent hoarding during shortages. National Health Insurance Administration Director Chen Liangyu said the cabinet has allocated 20 billion NT dollars or $654 million next year under a Special Resilience Act to strengthen pharmaceutical supply chains and support local production of generic and biosimilar drugs. Essential medicines will be guaranteed stable pricing, and the NHIA has introduced a mechanism to raise drug prices when necessary to reflect costs and ensure continued supply. Taiwan's representative to Japan, Li Yiyang, said TSMC's U.S. production facilities remain about 2.5 years behind those in Taiwan, emphasizing that Taiwan continues to hold clear technological advantages and secure core competencies. The Taiwan-Japan Semiconductor Alliance seminar, organized by Japan's Institute for National Fundamentals, opened Tuesday in Tokyo. The event gathered representatives from Japan's political, industrial, and academic sectors to discuss the strategic significance of Taiwan-Japan cooperation in the semiconductor supply chain. Attendees at Monday's welcome dinner include Li, former Economic Affairs Minister Wang Meihua, Indo-Pacific Strategic Think Tank CEO Aiko Yaita, Japan's Institute for National Fundamentals Chairwoman Yoshiko Sakurai, and lawmaker Koichi Hagiuda. Li said the U.S. proposal to divide TSMC's production 50-50 between Taiwan and the United States had drawn widespread attention, even sparking false claims that Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company will become American Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. In reality, he said, TSMC's U.S. plants can currently mass-produce 4nm and 3nm chips, with 2nm production not expected until late 2027. By contrast, Taiwan began mass production of 2nm chips this year and plans to start producing 1.4nm chips in 2028. Lee noted that TSMC's R&D headquarters in Taiwan deploys more than 8,000 researchers and remains the world's largest semiconductor research hub. He said Taiwan's new fabs in Taichung, Hsinchu, and Kaohsiung underscore its continued leadership and the security of its core semiconductor know-how. On Monday, Taiwan's National Security Bureau released a report warning that U.S. tariffs are expected to exacerbate China's economic and social risks. According to the report, China's exports to the United States fell by $69.6 billion after Washington announced reciprocal tariffs in April. The additional 40% transshipment tariff imposed by the U.S. in August will further restrict China's ability to bypass these duties by re-exporting goods through third countries. The Bureau said China's investment growth stood at just 0.5% between April and September, the lowest level for that period since 2020. Declines in private and real estate investment point to weak domestic demand. Citing statistics from the international NGO Freedom House, the report also noted a 63% rise in protests and petitioning incidents across China from January to September, largely driven by unpaid wages and unfinished housing projects. Official data shows China's youth unemployment rate reached 18.9% in August, the highest since the government revised its statistical methodology in December 2023. Meanwhile, a new policy requiring both business and employees to pay into the Social Security system starts September 1st has prompted many small and medium-sized enterprises to cut salaries or lay off workers. The Bureau observed that China's September 3rd military parade was intended to divert public attention from economic stagnation and corruption, strengthen ties with authoritarian allies, and lay the groundwork for Xi Jinping's fourth term. The report concluded that U.S. President Donald Trump's America First policy is reshaping global politics and economics, particularly by targeting China's transshipment practices. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has increased Taiwan's 2025 economic growth forecast to 3.7%, up from 2.9% previously, citing mild tariff effects and better global financial conditions. The update released in the IMF's latest World Economic Outlook report on Tuesday also slightly lowered the 2026 forecast to 2.1% from 2.5%. The IMF predicts Taiwan's consumer prices to rise 1.7% this year and 1.6% next year, while the unemployment rate is expected to stay steady at 3.4%. The report noted that easing trade tensions and stable financial markets have boosted global recovery prospects since April. Global GDP growth is now projected at 3.2% in 2025, up from July's 3% estimate, with 2026 growth expected at 3.1%. IMF Director of the Research Department Pierre-Olivier Gorincas said the global economy has benefited from lower tariffs, flexible business strategies, policy support in Europe and China, a weaker US dollar, and increasing investment in artificial intelligence. The United States is forecasted to grow 2.0% next year, while the Eurozone and Japan will see modest increase to 1.2% and 1.1% respectively. China's growth outlook remains unchanged at 4.8% for 2025. Taiwan is working to arrange meetings between the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Envoy, Lin Jin-yi, and global leaders, including United States President Donald Trump at the APEC summit in South Korea later this month. The summit, scheduled for October 31st to November 1st in Guangzhou, will gather leaders from 21 member economies under the theme of Building a Sustainable Tomorrow. President Lai Ching-te has reappointed Lin, a senior presidential advisor and chairman of Taiwania Capital, to represent Taiwan. Lin previously served as APEC envoy in 2005 and 2024. According to the presidential office, his experience in industrial policy and investment management makes him well-suited to present Taiwan's economic and innovation agenda at the summit. Foreign Minister Lin Jialong this Thursday told lawmakers that the administration host Lin Xinyi will engage leaders like Trump on regional cooperation and economic security. He noted that during last year's summit in Peru, Taiwan successfully defended its equal participation despite pressure from China. The foreign minister added that next year's APEC will be hosted by China and urged Beijing to honor its commitment to fair participation for all members. He said Taiwan expects no attempt to downgrade or marginalize its representative when the event moves to China in 2026.
A chocolate-themed tourist factory known as Otherworld Dream Castle has drawn thousands of visitors since opening in August in the Dapumei Precision Machinery Park in Chiayi County. With its towering golden spires and blue rooftops, the castle has earned the nickname Taiwan's Disney, prompting questions about whether it is linked to the U.S. entertainment giant. The company has clarified it has no connection to Disney. Otherworld said the castle was founded and designed by internationally recognized architect Mao Ronghai, who spent a decade personally planning every structural and sculptural detail with his design team. The creamy white walls and blue roof lines evoke images of a European-style fortress, drawing crowds of visitors daily who line up to take photos outside. Chairman Mao Dohan says the architect built the site out of nostalgia, hoping to preserve a piece of his childhood as the Dapumei area transformed into an industrial zone. Architect Mao previously participated in major projects such as Shanghai Disneyland, Yunlin's Jiangfusan Fancy World, and Kaohsiung's Ida World. The castle also incorporates local Chiayi symbolism, including 3 golden sculptures, rice, orchids, and plum blossoms, representing nearby Dalian and Meishan. The tall spires feature indigenous Zhou patterns from Alishan. The Dream Castle blends creative design with local culture, inviting visitors to shop and enjoy chocolate while celebrating community ties. Phil Leskowski for RTI News.
And that is it for This Week in Taiwan. Until next time.